ladies and gentlemen, on the guest list this week, a true legend, an interview we've been waiting for a while. Host of the Danny Brown Show. Danny Brown, how are you, bro?
Yo, what up, man?
Doing good, man. Really excited to have you here. This is one I've been geeking out about. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, man.
But we got delayed a little bit because you've been working on yourself. Congratulations on the sobriety. How long's it been so far?
Shit, I don't know. Check my phone. I got the app that tells me. But no, it should be. I'm over 90 days, so.
Oh, good for you, man. Congrats, man.
Yeah, it was a legendary Twitter DM where I was like, "Yo, Danny, when can we set this up?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'll get back to you, man. I got to go to rehab. I'll be right back." It was legendary.
It's been 97 days, but I'm 31 days with no cigarettes. So.
Oh my God, has that been harder?
The cigarettes? I mean, I didn't have any intentions on stopping to smoke cigarettes. I didn't have any intentions on stop smoking weed. I went for drinking.
Yeah.
But it just happened like that, I guess.
Now you're just flying straight up?
Yeah. I mean, I take nicotine pouches and
right.
Jewel. I hit a Jewel every now and then.
I can't help myself. Same.
I feel like it's tough to cut everything out at one time.
Yeah, but I'm seeing I'm starting to do that less and less too. So
God damn. Who knows? Yeah, you put out Scare in the Hose and you were just like, you know what? I gotta check myself here.
Oh, how has it been doing what you've been doing for the last 97 days in terms of like the public aspect of it? Is it something you don't care about, or has it been helpful or hurt or made it more difficult? The fact that you're like in the public eye constantly now.
No, I like it. I mean, I'm saying as far as like helping people and shit, it's been a lot of people that's been, encouraging me and then it's a lot of people that be like, man, you inspiring me to get right. So at the end of the day, it's like, I kind of want to help people. If you got any problems or something, people want to talk, like random motherfuckers hit me up, asking me questions and shit, I answer them.
I say that I fucking love that. The addiction gene runs deep in my family, and I've got family members who've been to rehab and shit. And like when you hear people argue who don't understand it, it makes me, it's like, good for you, man, helping people. It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they kind of teach you that in rehab in some sense, and it kind of makes sense, Yeah. Helping people kind of keeps you sober in some sense, Yeah,
and I mean, you have such a big fucking audience now with the Danny Brown Show, and like now you're going back out on tour, and
yeah.
I mean, dude,
I was helping motherfuckers get high, so shit.
This is all retribution.
Yeah.
Oh man, is it gonna be weird to be like go on stage and not have anything to like kind of like get you right before, you know what I mean? Like, because it's been like a thing you've done, and then you're gonna go out. Is this the first time you've ever toured sober?
I mean, yeah, but the first day I got out of rehab, I had a show.
Shut
up. Jesus.
Yeah, literally the first day I played at Arizona State. So it was like, what the fuck?
And of all places, Arizona State University.
Exactly. But what I learned is, man, for the most part, man, being on stage has been kind of therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
For the most part, like I used to be, I'll be nervous and oh shit, my fucking dog's barking.
It's fine. You're gonna get way weirder shit out of us in the background doing this. Don't worry about it.
I had to go grab her. Let me see. Let me get her.
Go ahead, man.
I want that pitbull cut out.
Yeah, dude. I have to get the pitbull cut out. Who should we get as a background?
Matt Coma at his shows for Winnetka Bowling League, he has cutouts of Vin Diesel and somebody in The Rock.
What's his Smashing Pumpkins? What's his name?
Oh, get Billy Corgan as a background?
Yeah, Billy Corgan as a cutout.
Dude, I've been hearing these Billy Corgan interviews lately, and the shit he says is so...
Yeah, it's only gonna be able to keep her quiet.
Have her on your lap.
Yeah, she's the real star of the show.
Oh my God.
Hell yeah, dude.
Have you ever lived in a more dog-friendly city than Austin? Because when I moved out here 2 years ago, like I could not believe the amount of dog, like you literally can't even open a restaurant if it doesn't accept dogs here.
Hotels, all that shit.
Yeah.
How'd you wind up in Austin?
I met a girl.
Classic story.
And I was coming back. I was coming all the time. And then when, me and Tom, we always talked about doing a podcast together. So once he kind of was like, they moved in the studio to Austin and shit, at the Rogan and all that shit, I was like, shit, I'm coming too then. Fuck it.
Well, yeah. So the Tom Segura thing's funny to me because like you strike me as the kind of guy that like was built for podcasting because you're funny. You'll fucking talk about anything. But then you get linked up with your mom's house and Tom Segura. Like, how long have you known Tom for?
For some years. I mean, it just started off with just me being a fan of YMH and watching all their podcasts and stuff, and then I went on their show, and then after I did his show, he was like, "Man, you should do podcasting and shit." And I was just like, "Man, I don't want to do that shit," you know. It was kind of like, I mean, then I was, I always to tell him like, "I'll do it if you produce it. I'll do it if I'm on the network." And then we just went back and forth. But then COVID happened. We was kind of chatting all the time and shit. And then just once they moved off, and I just followed right behind them.
I enjoy the fact that it's not like it's just you in front of a fucking green screen. Like you can do the show like solo. You don't need guests. Like I've watched plenty of episodes where I'm just like dying laughing, just you talking to a fucking microphone. Like, are you surprised with how successful it's been?
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, that's what helped me to get sober. Shit, seeing because I couldn't do it without having a drink here and there. And before I know it, I was having whole bottles, and then it was just a fucking train wreck. And seeing myself like that was like, oh, maybe it wasn't even a maybe. It was like, motherfucker, you need help.
So just getting to watch yourself was like, oh fuck, it's probably time.
Yeah. So if it helped for anything, it definitely was the main reason for me to get sober. So
that's such a weird aspect of modern life right now, is that so many people, not even people that are like necessarily super public, there's so much recording of yourself that it's really hard to avoid catching a glimpse and be like, oh shit, I'm fucking out of line or whatever,
And saying crazy shit, and then gotta apologize to people. It's just a shame. Just being ashamed of shit, So if anything, that was the main thing. I'm grateful that I'm able to do it just for that to happen, because it was never my intentions in coming to Austin to fucking get sober. I mean, I moved here. That was another thing for me to stop doing drugs and shit. But once I stopped doing drugs, I started drinking more,
Did you move to Austin from Detroit, or was there other places in between?
No, from Detroit.
Kenny spent some time in Detroit. I like Detroit too. Detroit's a great fucking city.
Good, man.
I love it.
For...
I mean, every time I go back home, I'm like, fuck, why am I here? But I still love home, family and all that.
Know about like Detroit, like I've played the Fillmore, the Fox Theater, like all those places, and you walk out in front of this beautiful venue, and it's just like abandoned, burned, shitty buildings all the way around. You're like, so crazy how much help Detroit needs.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting better, and then COVID happened.
Yeah. I had a bunch of friends who bought property because they're like, I swear Detroit's going to be the next thing, and then after COVID, it kind of.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shit go down that popped up, and then it's like, oh shit. So.
Well, that's like in Philly, people are buying up Kensington. Kensington is the biggest open air heroin market in the world. Yeah. And they're like, no, this is going to, I'm like, dude, you need to nuke this part of the city and start over if you really want to fucking, really do it.
Yeah, I find myself watching YouTube videos of Kensington.
Bro, that's where like my wife's family is from. That's like my family's from Port Richmond, which is like the part attached to it. And our rehearsal studio for the band is in basically Kensington.
Oh shit.
Anybody who thinks they're going to buy up Kensington and not have to start over is fucking lying themselves.
Real Housewives of Kensington show.
Yo, that's a reality TV show I would watch.
See? That's not now. You won't get no fucking lines or nothing.
that's a YouTube series. Like that's a rabbit hole you can fall into. Because I am a listener of the podcast. I know you're a fan of the deepest, darkest parts of the internet. Falling into a Kensington rabbit hole is one that's a rough one. My YouTube algorithm's all fucked up. Just videos of Kensington all the time.
Yeah, it's not the most proudest moments of my life, but yes, I'm always on fucking line, eternally on.
Yeah, you introduced me to Cyrax, which once again fucked up my entire life. So thanks for that.
Yeah, he just got locked up not too long ago. It was hilarious.
Wait, Cyrax got locked up for what?
Yeah, motherfuckers was picketing in front of his house with pedo signs and shit. So he came out with a baseball bat and got to swinging it, and they pressed charges on him. I mean, every time I try to get away from the shit, not be involved and watch that kind of shit, it just pulls me back every time.
If you don't know what Cyrax is, please do me a favor and go on YouTube and just type in Cyrax. Thanks for that.
Is the next part of your sober voyage going to be giving up the dark side of the internet?
I tried. You know, you got to take this in baby steps. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, every now and then, like I say, I try to stop because it was almost like it was something I would do when I was drunk and shit. You know, like hurt people kind of shit. You know, fucking trolling and shit. You know, so I was like, you know, my girl don't like that shit. I'm like, let me stop. Let me leave these motherfuckers alone. But every time I think I'm out, they pull me right back in.
Just picture being like a weird dude on the internet, like posting videos of you with samurai swords, and all of a sudden Danny Brown's in your comments like pussy.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh man.
I mean, I would say I don't participate as much every now and then, but I watch. I'm still an avid watcher.
You're just like in the fucking corner as a viewer. You're just lurking.
Yeah, because crazy shit keep happening. So it's like, you know.
I feel like you're the fucking. Go ahead, Kenny.
I was so proud of my YouTube algorithm. My feed was fucking fire, and then I had kids.
Oh, okay.
My shit's all cartoons and shit now. I can't even watch it.
Some of those cartoons, the kids' cartoons, I think are actually the weirdest, darkest part of the internet.
Oh yeah.
Like the especially like the new 3D animated ones. There's something off about that shit.
Oh yeah, like all the Elsa Gate shit that was happening.
Yeah.
Oh wait, was that with Spider-Man or something like that?
Yeah. That was weird. It was weird.
My man does.
Yeah, I have a kid on the way. My son's doing like 3 weeks, and I think I don't know how I'm gonna navigate any of this shit. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
don't.
You gotta pretty much just monitor it, you know,
or just turn them loose and see what happens. Just as a social experiment. Be like, nah, go ahead, go in on the internet, dude.
I mean, right now the crazy shit is like the loopholes of them posting porn and shit, pretty much, where it's like naked yoga. And it's supposedly used for like educational purposes. Recently, not too long ago, a guy shaved his asshole on YouTube. Educational purposes, and it got 10 million views right now.
Jesus.
What is
he nared his asshole, and now it's viral.
That say something more about the creator or more about the patronage?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just, I guess it's one of those things where it's like, what the fuck? How is this on YouTube? Like condom tutorials. Yeah. Like, who needs to learn how to put on a condom? You know,
dude,
I know some people.
It's like, you know, Jason Tatum, the basketball player. Like, if you go on YouTube and you type in how to tie a tie, it's like it's like a 12-year-old Jason Tatum teaching you how to tie a tie. Like, I can't wait till we have to Google in the years, like, who was the dude on YouTube showing people how to put condoms on? Like, and it's like a future NBA star. Like, dude, did you see the dude Jalen Green, the dude from the Rockets? All these videos are coming out of him like humping his boys. Yeah, and it's like boys are getting rowdy. I don't know what everybody's so mad about. Boys are just getting rowdy. I don't know. Hoops among us, bro. Hoops among us.
He's probably gonna have the #1 selling jersey this year.
Easily, bro. But yeah, I think it's funny. Like, I've been asking this question for a while. It's like, why don't more musicians get into podcasting? Because I feel like there's personalities out there. I feel like you're a perfect person to kind of like lead that charge of like current actually working musicians out here being funny. Like, why do you think more musicians don't do this? Like, I know Lil Yachty tried for like one episode. Like, why do you think more musicians don't do podcasting?
I don't know. I think for the most part, a lot of them want to be, you know, keep their lives a little private. Just to keep that whole like celebrity, you know what I'm saying, vibe for them and everything. And just with being good at podcasting, you have to be open as fuck. And you have to you have to put honest takes on shit. And you know, so a lot of them are like censoring themselves and shit like that. And when you do that, it's not gonna be funny, you know?
Yeah, see,
so for the most part.
As a huge fan of music, I find that if I love an artist and then I find out that they're funny, like an Oliver Tree or Tyler the Creator or whoever the fuck, right? It just sends them to the stratosphere for me, because then I know that they're ultra talented and they don't take it so fucking seriously.
Yeah, but most musicians do take themselves serious, and I feel like them feeling like doing that is probably like, you know, like they falling off or something. You know, I got to do a podcast or something like that. You know. Because most of the good guys are kind of guys that's like been doing music forever, and it's pretty much they have to tail end of it or something like that. Even though that's not my case, I'm still, you know, I got a lot of shit that I still want to accomplish musically. So, but for me, I always, you know, I was comedy and podcasting and shit. That was always like something that I wanted to get into. You know,
it's funny though that people are always like, they look at podcasts and like, oh, fucking everybody's got a podcast, and it's some sort of negative aspect on a musician's career. But you're like, how many fucking musicians are there?
Yeah, I mean,
dude.
but I mean, I think it's just easy. It just comes from too, like when YouTubers was doing music and everybody was like, oh, this, they didn't really respect them musically because they're like, you're a YouTuber. That's why I think they created the fucking word content creator, which I hate.
Me too.
Like, you're not a fucking, you're a YouTuber, man.
Yeah, dude. SoundCloud. I remember there was always like a thing like, oh, he's a SoundCloud guy. He's a SoundCloud rapper. You're like, why are you calling him a SoundCloud rapper? He's a rapper.
Well, it's such a delicate little thing, like the fashion of music. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so clicky and it's so careful, people's reputation. And that's why I think so many musicians are so guarded about just going on a microphone and talking what they actually think, because they've spent years crafting this perfect little image of what a band looks like. And particularly, I feel like alt rock is the worst at this because they're so precious about how they look that they can't go down that angle of just fucking talking like human beings. I mean, Kenny and I toured together on the bus. We would often talk about that. Like, why are alt rock bands so fucking annoying? Like, just the way that they will not kind of openly say what they feel.
You're not that good. Calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just all about people taking themselves too serious. And then I think a lot of it has to do with like when the whole cancel culture thing was going crazy. So a lot of people scared to say something that could possibly ruin their whole shit that they built,
Right, but that's like, I get that. First off, I'm any press is good press kind of guy, but also like, if you have to censor so much of yourself to not get canceled, then who the fuck are you? I don't know who you are. Like, there's something about the people who don't take themselves too seriously and say whatever they want that gives me a true, genuine sense of who they are to me.
Yeah, but those are the people I want like I want the wild cards. I want people who aren't afraid. Like, there's nothing weirder than when like you see someone who's like very well put together and then you talk to them in private and it's like, oh, this person's actually kind of wild. It's like, why don't you show that side of yourself? But people are so fucking scared of everything. It's crazy, dude.
On the flip side, though, are there any artists that any of you guys like hold in a revered position that if they had a podcast, you'd be like, fuck, don't spoil it? You know what I mean? Like, for you, Colin, like if Bruce Springsteen,
he did have a podcast with Obama. He did? With Obama.
Okay, well, that's a little different. That's not a podcast if you're doing it with fucking President of America. Bro, that's like
how sick would it have been if Obama and fucking Springsteen had a podcast and the first thing was like, yo, you eat pussy? Like, they just had like a wild ass podcast. Like, I would be in on that. I didn't even listen to the Springsteen Obama one because I got the gist generally of what it was going to be. And I'm sure it was good, but like, I want the wild shit, which is why I listen to Danny's podcast. I fucking love the Danny Brown show, dude.
See, my whole thing is almost like that Dave Chappelle bit when he was talking about Ja Rule. It's like, why the fuck would you get what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, man, musicians, we say crazy shit in our music sometimes. So, it's definitely something off in the brain a little bit. So you can expect for them to have crazy takes on shit, and a lot of people's perception is warped too from being in the industry for so long. So I think a lot of people want to hear those takes, but I think for the most part, I get a lot of entertainment from just like regular, normal, everyday motherfuckers that have podcasts and shit too. So,
I listened, yesterday I was talking to my wife and I was like, dude, I'm so fucking excited. We have Danny Brown on tomorrow. I'm such a big fan. And she's sitting on the couch, 8.5 months, 9 months pregnant. And I'm like, yo, check this out. And I put on blunt after blunt on the Alexa. And I think ate that bitch pussy till she squirted like a dolphin, and she was like, dude, what the fuck is this? Scaring the hose, dude. It's what you do. Exactly. But
that to me was comedy in my take. I was always just trying to say the most outlandish shit to make motherfuckers, I mean, I guess I guess scaring the hose in some sense, like scare tactic type shit, but it's shock value, most of the hip hop that I grew up listening to and I really love the most was shit that I can be like, can't believe he said that,
Well, there's even the current Detroit scene, like Babytron and shit like that, and BFB to Pac-Man, like it's funny. Like there is a funny aspect to Detroit hip hop. I don't know if that's like in the culture there, but that's like where I get my entertainment from. Yeah,
because I guess growing up somewhere so dark and so fucked up, you gotta entertain yourselves in some sense to be like, and then just the fact that it's so cold there sometimes, like you might not be able to go out the house for 3 months out of the year. So I think a lot of us just, I think that's why we good at music too, to be honest, because we have so much time to work on it. It's not really like a fucking place where people travel to. It's not really like a tourist economy in Detroit. So
what's
we
Detroit's
pretty much
tourist
just
economy? Like, what is Detroit's tourist economy?
Windsor, Canada. They just come over the bridge and have a good time on weekends and shit.
Yo,
I feel like there's definitely something to that, to like weather and to the darkness of a place that breeds good music. Even if you look back through history, like the Beatles coming out of Liverpool and like post World War II Liverpool and all that, you know, like there's just something about that. And that's like the opposite of that. Sometimes I feel like not always the case, but like LA, where everything's just so perfect, only brings about certain kinds of music. And I'm not shitting on you, Kenny.
No, I was literally about to say, is that why LA music is so fake and shitty?
No, even like Seattle when they had the whole grunge shit going, you know?
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm laughing thinking about the memes that are like every time a band's like, we got to get out of this little town. It's just a picture of like Encino, like beautiful houses.
Oh,
Katie, I question for you, you're talking about music that you were into and where you come from and why you got into the music, you know, being from Detroit. And one of the questions I had going into this was, I was curious, like, who did you grow up on? Like what music inspired you when you were a kid that made you think that you wanted to follow it?
I mean, my favorite rapper's always been Nas.
Yeah.
But you know, I've had phases. Like I had a alt rock phase and super into like Korn and System of a Down and stuff like that. And then like, you know, even like a lot of, you know, Detroit, we have like a huge like electronic music scene. So I grew up on house music and, you know, super into like Dizzy Rascal and the whole UK grime stuff. And yeah, pretty much. And just, of course, a lot of hip hop. Like I was super into like Bay Area hip hop, like E40, Too Short, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, but pretty much like Wu-Tang and Nas is like my holy grail.
Wu-Tang's been my number one my whole life. Okay, so my last question on this topic. Scout's favorite. Who do you think's the best rapper? I'm curious of all time. We ask a lot of the big rappers like
Of all time?
Like yeah, like if you had a top 3, if you can't narrow it down to one, like because you can have a favorite, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you think that they're the best of all time.
Yeah. My favorites it would be, God damn it, here's the dog again. Nas, E40, and Dizzy Rascal, I would say are like my top 3, and Ghostface Killer.
Oh God,
You know. But if I would think like the best rapper ever would probably be like Andre 3000.
See,
fuck you. We've had this debate going on recently because I said like I think that Big Boy's underrated, like criminally underrated.
Definitely is. Definitely.
And then I on the podcast said I would take Big Boy over Andre 3000, and the goddamn internet comments are coming for me.
Like, yeah, but see, that's one of those debates where like there's no loser because like they're both fucking amazing. So like you prefer one over the other. Who cares?
Right. Exactly.
I think Big Boy is just super underrated, and that's why Outkast was so good, because you had the duality with both of those. You know, if it was just Dre by itself, it might have been too weird for some people. Yep. And I think Big Boy, the one that kept him grounded. And a lot of those like crazy songs that people don't really understand, it was pretty much Big Boy creations, you know? Like when they did the double album together, like a song like So Fresh and So Clean, you know?
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like he had the bops, you know, where Dre was just being like, you know, creative as fuck, you know?
And I love
you get Bombs Over Baghdad from Dre, you know?
Exactly. Well, that's the thing to me. Like I always get mad when people are like only bring up Andre 3000 when they bring up Outkast. It's like, dude, the amount of great shit that they released off like Big Boy's back, and then even like the solo shit and the stuff he's done with like Phanogram and Run the Jewels. Like I love Big Boy. I just do.
Big Boy is absolutely underrated.
Yeah, it's just super underrated.
To this day, any speaker system I ever test, it's Speakerbox. The first song I put on every fucking time. But like with Andre, it's crazy that like he started off as a rapper. Then he picked up a guitar.
Yeah. Started
singing. Then he gets into fashion. Like, it's just a crazy legacy that he fucking built.
Do you know he played Jimi Hendrix in a movie?
Actually, it's coming back to me now. I feel like I knew that.
Hey, dude, he was in Four Brothers. What an actor. Actually, he's actually a pretty good actor.
Remember that movie? That was a good movie.
He was in Semi-Pro. He was Coffee Black.
Yeah, dude. See?
He's a good actor.
Right.
Maybe I'm talking myself into the other side, but it's funny to me, like looking back on it, because Andrew Barber from Fake Shore Drive is like a good friend of the podcast.
Yeah, that's the homie.
And I remember you guys did a thing for like the 10-year anniversary of Triple X, which is like, for me, like that fucked me up. And I still remember where I was when I found it. Because I was my freshman year of college, and Pitchfork put out like, this is a perfect album. And I was like, oh, fuck Pitchfork. Like that was my opinion back then. I was like, these guys are all nerds, whatever. And I listened to it and I'm like, wait, Pitchfork likes this? I was like, were you shocked when Pitchfork liked Triple X?
No, I mean, now I'm more shocked that this shit Pitchfork be liking now.
Yeah,
I think now they're trying to get out the we're not music nerds guys and shit, you know, but the music nerds, we need our thing. I consider myself to be a music nerd. I guess it gets to the point where people look at music nerds like elitists and they have like this whole nose in the air kind of thing. So now it's like, shit, they fucking rated the fucking My Booty Hole Brown album over Kendrick. It's like, what the fuck is going on now?
But dude, I mean, Triple X was just a fucking moment. And like you listen to that, that's a dark album. It's a funny album, but it's like fucking perfect. Like where were you at when Triple X came out?
I recorded it in Detroit, but the day it came out, I was actually in New York. I was actually doing a lot of press and stuff for it. So, I mean, it was cool. It was a cool moment in my life. I would definitely say, because I used to get like super like paranoid and just stressed out every time I would put out an album and just be scared that would people like this shit, you know, not sleeping for days. And that's where a lot of my fucking drugs and shit stemmed from, just being so fucking nervous about putting out music and shit. But you know, just to get that fucking relief, you know, it was like a weight off my shoulder that everybody liked it and shit. So
yeah, and it fucking catapulted you to where you are today. But then like you do Atrocity Exhibition and you do you know what I'm saying? Like I like the fact that you still maintain a level of like you cater to the underground in a way, which I don't know that underground hip hop still fucking exists. Like, does it?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, because it's obviously a blatant line of what's mainstream and what's not. So, you know, I definitely feel like, I mean, now the kids have a whole different take on what's underground. They look at Playboi Carti like he's underground. Or
yeah, and he's like, he has like 60 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just, they just call it, it's a sound for them more so than the actual status thing.
Do you fuck with things like Playboi Carti? Like, are you
Hell
listening?
Yeah, I love Carti.
I fucking love Carti, dude. It is funny because there's an element of comedy to Carti too that like I think is unintentional. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, he's just coming from a whole rock element that I really vibe with. So I like that shit. I like kids, you know, raging and jumping around and having a good time, where it's not like super lyrically based in some sense, more of a vibe. But at the end of the day, it's almost like, you know, like being like, I couldn't make that shit. So you know what I'm saying? I look at I really take influence or just get inspired by music that I couldn't come up with, you know? When I hear certain shit, it's like, I can do that. That's whatever. You know what I'm saying? But when I hear some shit that's like, I don't know how the fuck they doing this shit, you know? So I get impressed by that kind of shit.
And I still think
Speaking of, sorry, go ahead, Ken.
I still think that going back to the underground hip hop scene, like the underground hip hop scene in like the mid 90s, late 90s with like Grouch, Eli, Atmosphere, fucking like all those dudes, they're still putting out records. Right? So like there's still some beautiful, incredible underground. I even like Brockhampton, like maybe they got big, but like I still think they're kind of underground. There's still some cool, you know, what I'd classify as underground hip hop going on.
Yeah. And my whole thing was that what I realized for myself is that my favorite artist was the underground guys that wasn't on the fucking radio and all that kind of shit. So when I look back at just where I'm at in my career, it's almost like I'm proud of myself in that sense, because all the shit that I was inspired by and influenced by, like I'm on that level of that. I'm like one of those guys now. So I never wanted to be like, you know, I never thought I could be like a Jay-Z or some shit like that. I was more so into like Def Jux instead of Def Jam, you know? So you know, as far as me, like accomplishing what I wanted to do goal-wise in hip hop, I really feel like I exceeded my expectations.
You know, speaking of Jay-Z, this is a random tangent, but if I'm wrong about this, I'm gonna feel like a fucking asshole. But I played that Jay-Z festival Made in America in 2016, and I think you played it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah.
Right? So like I remember you went on like 10 minutes before our set ended, and I was so excited to watch you perform that I went with my ears in my pack straight from stage over to your stage and watched you
dope.
fucking kill it, man. It was so good.
It is just funny. Go ahead, Johnny.
Just to go back to what you were saying about what's kind of inspires you is stuff that you don't do or you can't do necessarily. Has anything out here in Austin started to get your brain thinking about new elements to bring into your music, like out of the honky tonks or anything?
No, I would say I got a lot more into hearing country shit. Just hearing that shit, coming back. I mean, when I was drunk in an Uber and just hearing some crazy ass song about him beating his wife and shit, and be like, oh, I get the vibe of this,
You're like, that's
This is,
fucking bars, dude. That's bars.
Yeah. But no, for the most point, man, Austin is such a musical place. You can just go to some bar and just see some random band and they're fucking killing it. And you're like,
Yeah,
shit, So
Are you still
Hmm?
fucking around with any rock shit? Like, are you into like Turnstile or getting into like hardcore shit at all?
Yeah, I love Turnstile, but the band that I really got into lately is the Bobby Lees.
No, don't know. This sounds like it's right up Kenny's alley. What is it, like punk shit?
Yeah, definitely. They remind me of like hearing like those old skate dids from like the early 90s or some shit like that. But then I mean, they kind of remind me of the Stripes a little bit, which
Oh,
they
okay.
probably wouldn't like me saying that. But I that's the vibe, that's the influence I get. I mean, I hear, but the songwriter, she's fucking amazing. Like the songs that she come up with is just so good. But it's one of those bands where I feel like everybody is top tier. Like the bass, she's amazing. The drummer's crazy. The lead guitarist is crazy. So yeah, they're my favorite band right now. It's one of those type of shit. When I heard the album, I'm like, why isn't people talking about this more? Like, and I Googled them and I searched around. I'm like, fuck, Pitchfork never mentioned them once. Like, what the fuck you guys are slacking?
You know what's crazy?
But yeah, the Bobby Lees, man, they have I think the album is called Bellevue.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'll have to check that out. You know what's crazy about that band Turnstile that I just learned yesterday? That last record that got them all the fame and shit was their 5th full-length record.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I knew that.
Here, so they're not some brand new thing. Like they put in time and they put in work, and good for them.
Yeah, it's crazy though that how like the OG, like the real hardcore kids really just hate on them so crazy because they went mainstream.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, you get a Doritos commercial, you can't be hardcore no more. But no, Turnstile is dope as fuck.
It's so stupid because their shit is so. I'm a hardcore kid. I come from hardcore. I fucking love hardcore and metal and punk rock, and like they're just younger, they're fashionable, and they open for Blink. So people are like, "Oh, this is bullshit" or whatever it is. But you're like, dude, watch those fucking videos. You've never seen circle pits like that in the last 10 years, man.
Yeah, and they got a black guy in the band. That's what it is.
Fucking rips.
Yeah, he's fucking gnarly. He's playing the Jackson. He's just out here fucking killing it, dude.
So good.
But it is funny. Like I asked that question about underground hip hop and shit, and like I'm in this weird spot right now where I love rap. Like I'm a nerd, but like it feels like rap's almost hitting this like 04 rock phase where we're like Creed and Nickelback and shit came out, and then it's like it's gotten to the point where it's the number one genre in the world right now. Like, let's not act like it's not, to where it's like even the underground shit is popular now. So it's hard to find shit that's like alternative to that, because even the alternative shit people are listening to. Like, I want to find something. I don't find things anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think just the main problem now is that a lot of the rules that like I grew up with and we had in the beginning, I wouldn't say the beginning because I'm still like a 90s kid and shit. But like the whole shit was about originality. And now that's like going out the window and shit. It's all do what works kind of thing, And then it's to the point where like the kids, they're so caught up in what sells. Like, did you sell 100,000 this week? Oh, you flop, kind of shit. So
how many TikToks?
So it's just it's entering in a bad phase to where you got the kids not respecting the OGs and shit too. And once shit started to get like that, it's like Lord of the Flies kind of shit. Like, you got kids that only listen to kids.
Yeah, it is weird. Like they talk shit on Drake. Like Drake is the biggest fucking artist of the last like 20 years. And everybody's like, nah, Drake fell off. I'm like, dude, you realize he's still selling out stadiums and putting out good music. Like, I'm not saying I'm like the world's biggest Drake fan, but like the kids are wild, dude. The kids are vicious.
They're wild.
But I think it just happened so much of like the OGs, that whole old man yelling at the sky kind of shit. Like they was hating on him for so long. Now it's got to the point where they're like, fuck y'all. You can't be mad at them for that. Because I mean, I experienced that when I first came out, with like a lot of the older rappers that I listened to. They were like, what the fuck is this shit? He's wearing skinny jeans and, and that whole
I feel like it's a natural thing. It has to happen. Like every generation has to reject certain aspects of the past. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like it has to happen. The same, like, things have to die for other things to grow.
I was having a conversation with my wife last night about how like Metallica, right? They had a song on Straight. Right. So like all the younger kids are like, who is Metallica? And same with like Nirvana, right, from that Batman movie and stuff. And it pissed me off, and I don't know why. And Sarah's like, why? You should be stoked that these young kids are finding these old bands. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like they don't deserve it, but I know that I'm wrong. It's one of those things.
Because you're a fucking old man yelling at people in your lawn, Kenny.
Wait, man, get off my fucking yard, bitch.
I think that's a lot of the big problem of it is that, you know, that they're not really going back and studying shit. You know, It was like for me when I first started, like I would just literally Google like top 50 albums ever made, and go fucking listen to all them shits and just figure out what works for me, what I can get influenced by, what you know, and that way I learned a lot about music in that sense too, no matter what genre it was, you know.
Well, there's like a whole section of TikTok now where it's like kids, like the whole idea of the TikTok is like, listen to these songs from 10 years ago and let me know if you know what this is. And like, they don't know songs from fucking Pitbull or like Lil Wayne and shit like that. And it's like cool to not know things. Like when I was a kid, like I never wanted to be able to be in a conversation with an adult where I couldn't like rattle off shit about Bob Seger or things like that. Like I wanted to know everything.
Yeah,
And
but
now
think about if you're a kid nowadays and there's 120,000 songs coming out every day. It's like, it's not, I get what you're saying. Some of it's just like trying to be cool by saying you don't know anything about anything. But then it's also like kids and people are just bombarded by music, by content all day long. So it's like, what, you know, like you were giving us shit the other day. We didn't know that song that we didn't know.
These motherfuckers act like they never heard Wagon Wheel before.
By the way, I got yelled at from some other people.
What is Wagon Wheel?
You know
Yes, fuck you, Colin.
It's that song, so rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel, rock me. You never heard that song either?
Made by?
Old Crow Medicine Show, but the big version was by Darius Rucker, who was Hootie from Hootie and the
Oh,
Blowfish.
fuck no, I don't know. No Darius
God
Rucker
damn
song.
it.
Fuck you, Colin. Clip this shit. That's the end.
Yeah, all right, fuck you, dude.
Nah.
God damn it.
I don't know no Hootie.
See, now you got to go on your podcast and just see, like, just play it and see how many people are like. Because
I mean, I'm pretty sure people know about that shit, but yeah, it's not. That was not my vibe.
Dude, I put it up on like YouTube and the short got like 30,000 views or whatever. And so many comments were like, why do you think people know what this is? Fuck you. And I was like, because it's got 400 million views. People know this song.
Are you Hootie? You guys remember in Jerry Maguire when that kid goes up to Cuba Gooding Jr. and he's like, are you
just blatant racism in movies in the 90s, dude. But yeah, Danny, you're going out on tour, right?
Yeah, me and Peggy, JPEG Mafia, we're going out in a few weeks, actually.
Are you dropping a solo project soon, or are you gonna keep rocking with Scaring the Host for right now?
Yeah, I've had a solo. I've recorded an album during the pandemic. So yeah, it should be coming out this year. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I mean, recently I went and, you know, I don't know how much I can really talk about it, but yeah, it should be coming out this year.
Oh yeah,
good shit. We need more of it, dude.
How has the influx of fans from the podcast world affected like the people that came at you from the music side of things? Is it you seen a massive difference in the fans, or is everyone kind of finding a common ground?
It's kind of weird, man, because I get a lot of people that don't even know I do fucking music.
What?
Yes, that happens a lot, especially out here. Like I can be at like, you know, somewhere at the fucking HEB or something. Everybody be like the Danny Brown show, you know, but they don't know shit about my music. But it's a weird thing too with even the viewers that I got, because I feel like most of the people that watch my shows aren't really from the YMH universe. It's really people that are from my music shit. So I don't know. It's pretty weird though.
That's fucking crazy. You know, that's even crazier to me. And not that you need the fucking compliment, but like you, Danny Brown, has always been one of those rappers where like anytime your name gets mentioned, no matter who you're talking to, everybody's like, oh, fuck yeah. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's just a respect for Danny Brown. So it's crazy to me that the podcast fans would be like, oh, music? Huh.
Yeah, they don't know. Like, yeah. It's like a lot of, you know, like a lot of people were listeners of the podcast. Their first introduction to me was Scaring the Hoes. So,
Really?
You know, yeah, it was kind of cool.
It's like they don't know about the Mr. Motherfucking Esquire like last Huzzah video. Like that's crazy. Like that video still to this day fucks me up. It's one of my favorite things you've ever done.
Oh, thanks, man.
But Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Do I look like Tom Segura?
Yes.
I can see how people say that.
Yeah, because we had a hit song some years ago, and I swear to God, there's hundreds and hundreds of comments to say, because I play accordion, you can probably see it somewhere there, saying, I didn't know Tom Segura played the accordion. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of comments like that. So I'm hoping one day I bump into him in Austin and like a doppelganger sees themselves and just explodes or something.
Oh shit. Yeah, but I can see how people say that, definitely.
Hopefully if you bump into him, he gives you his money. Like he can have your accordions, but he gives you the money. That's a fucking deal right there. Before you get out of here, I have one question. Like, I love you for the wild bars. Like, is there ever a bar that you wanted to put out that was just too wild where you're like, I got to get rid of that? Like that can't even be in there.
I think there's a lot of shit. I mean, and that's not necessarily I wouldn't think like, oh, that's going too far. It's just like as more and more I get into writing songs, I just edit myself a lot more. Because I used to be like a lightning in a bottle kind of thing where I'd be like, try to, see how fast I can do it and shit like that when I was younger. But after I worked with Q-Tip, he just taught me that, you got all the time in the world to create this music. Why not put all the extra love and attention you can before you put it out? So, the past, definitely this album, I would write stuff and, I just constantly going back over it, writing it. Do I want to say this? Can I say something else different and this and that? And sometimes you might be overthinking it, but for the most part, yeah, man. And maybe I don't use something just because something else works better. So it's not necessarily me just trying to use the first thing that comes to my brain. It's just trying to like go deep into the darkness of my mind and see if I can come up with something better,
I'm just picturing you in the booth with Q-Tip behind the board, and then you let something loose like stank pussy smelling like Cool Ranch Doritos, and he's like, yeah, we should try that again.
Nah, with Tip, he wanted me to be a lot more like a lot of people don't know, like Ali Shaheed Muhammad. He was like one of my first mentors. So and my dad was a huge Tribe Called Quest fan. So I almost feel like I'm a son of the native tongues in some sense. So, for me to work with Q-Tip is one of the biggest moments of my life. The fucked up part is that I was just really deep into my addiction and shit at the time. So I really have a lot of regrets about, but we got what we can get. We worked for 3 years, and then I was going through getting my whole teeth fixed and shit. So it was a lot of times where I couldn't record and it just was really hard making, you know what I'm saying? But I learned so much, and it's going to be something that I'm take with me for the rest of my songwriting career.
I got one last question for you, and maybe the answer is Q-Tip, but I always want to put the producers on blast too. Like, who are some of the best, like your favorite producers that you work with, the beat makers? Who's got the heaviest shit? Like,
right now, JPEG Mafia.
Yeah, sure. I agree with that.
I think he's amazing. Like the shit he comes up with, man. And then I never met, and I make beats too,
Mm-hmm.
But working with him, it makes me be like, fuck this beat making shit, man. He makes me, I lose all fucking self-esteem and fucking confidence when I hear his shit, man. Like he pulls from everything, man. So I was really fucking honored to work with him. And like I said, I was really fucked up at the time we was working. I was drunk all the fucking time, and he just had the most patience in the world. So, I can't wait to get back in and, hopefully we'll be doing a lot of work on tour.
Hell yeah. That's great.
God damn. Well, fucking Danny Brown, thank you so much, man. Seat's always open whenever you want to come back on.
Hell yeah,
talk
man.
Some
Thanks
shit.
for having me, man.
Thank you for being here, man. Everybody go stream Scaring the Hose. Go see him on tour. Danny Brown, you're a fucking legend, man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one.